If you are someone who feels like you have a lot on your plate, you never have enough time, you are always running from thing to thing to thing, and when you look at what you're being compensated in your business compared to the time and energy and effort and mental space that you put in, and sometimes even though you love what you do, it makes you question why you're doing this is going to be the episode for you. Hey, you leader, entrepreneur, business owner, solopreneur, whatever you call yourself, we know you're a visionary business builder, wealth seeker looking to combine a passion for doing good with leading consciously. It's time to shift from a traditional focus of pure wealth accumulation to one that integrates well-being and fulfillment. You're here for a purpose, and it's time to shine your light. So here we go. I'm Alicia St. Germain. Welcome to the Conscious Edge podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. If you are brand new to this podcast, I want to welcome you officially. I run a coaching business where I help women entrepreneurs get out of their own way so they can reach their goals and enjoy life a lot more. More joy, more ease, more fun in the process that they're building, and a lot more balance so that they can be with their family and travel and do all those things that make life extraordinary and fun and full. So I have been doing a lot of reflecting recently around money and pricing and worth and value. And this is, I had this aha that I thought was really relevant to share with everyone, because so often we go into business, we want more freedom, flexibility, we want to do what we want with whom we want, where we want, when we want, all the things, right? We want to have all of this just autonomy in our lives. And one of the things that often happens, and I hear it over and over and over again, is you think that your business is going to be easier than you thought. Then you get into the trenches and you realize it's a lot harder than you realized. And you're putting in a lot more hours than you thought, and you're not making as much as you wanted to. And so there's this whole mindset that has to happen in order for you to be able to charge what you need to charge to make a sustainable and profitable business. You're trying to wrap your head around, will people pay me that amount for whatever it is? And so you have to go. And then also on the other side, it's looking at your mindset and whether you have a mindset that will invest in your business, and what does that investment look like in order to give you that time and energy and space that you want in your life. Okay, so let me back up and explain this, where this whole revelation kind of came from, or this whole culmination of things that made me realize this was a point that was important to make. So yesterday, at the time that I'm recording this, we had our first masterclass with Jen Boss, who is my accountant and does some outsourced CFO services for me to help me planning for some important business goals this year. And she did a masterclass for everyone so that they could get access to her brain and how she thinks, and help them learn how to think more like a CEO when it comes to managing their numbers, as opposed to just being reactive and, just filing your taxes once a year in a scramble. And so in the masterclass, we went through some really basic things like your P&L and your balance sheet, some different entity structures and the way that they're taxed and how that is reflected on your reports that you run. She made some recommendations for how to break down your chart of accounts that may give more valuable information than maybe your CPA or your account or your bookkeeper has set up for you already. So people left like wanting to go make tweaks to the way that their reports were put together and the way that their books were put together so that they could get more valuable information that would drive their business. And one of the big ahas for a lot of people was around separating out expenses as normal business expenses and then separating out those that were associated with delivering their services or their goods. So cost of goods sold or cost of services provided, essentially, and putting that in the report as a different line item that's reflected in a different way so that people could actually see how much it cost them to deliver on what they delivered, whatever it is that your product or service is, and how profitable it was. And then the other thing that we also talked about was the salary that you provide yourself. If you're directly involved in the delivery of the cost of good or service, or you have some aspect of it that you put your time and energy into, that time has value that you put into your business. And so looking at it being a line item as part of cost of goods delivered or services provided, and then looking at other places in our business where we spend our time. So that's one aspect of it, is really, I think a majority of people keep very simple books, and she gave some really valuable recommendations on some different ways to categorize things and simplify things, but make it so much more valuable. Just a slightly more robust sort of P&L. Okay, so that was one aspect. The second thing that I am working on is going through and looking at the services that I provide to my coaching clients. And I'm working with Shannon Mattern, who's been on this podcast, but one of the things she is really brilliant at is pricing and positioning, like pricing structure and what you provide and why it's valuable, and really helping people transform their mindset for the service providers, but transforming their mindset from really being in the client's pocket and worrying about, what someone can afford, what will they pay, and making up all kinds of stories about what someone is willing to invest for your services that you provide, versus making offers that make sense for you as the business owner, making offers to people that are going to feel good for the time that you're putting in and for the things that you are delivering on. And so she goes through a whole pricing structure and the way that you present these offers, and really works with people to get them excited and enrolled in their own offer, so that they can make more and protect their time and have better boundaries around the time that they are spending with clients. So I have been working with her and getting her input on some of the structure of my coaching, because one of the things that happens is one of the ways that people work with me is in group coaching environment. And it's a really valuable experience. We get a lot done. It feels very high touch. It's very personalized. You get a lot of coaching and people learn a lot from each other. However, there are people who still really want my one-on-one time, and they want me to be in their business. Now, up until recently, I wasn't really able to provide that one-on-one time because I had built my life around being a present mom, being with my kids while they were still young. Now that both of my children are in school, my time looks a lot different. And now that they're older, they're a little bit more self-sufficient. And so my time is looking a little different, and I'm able to give that time to clients in some different ways. And so we were looking at this request that I often get for one-on-one coaching and private time, and how would we price it? And I have been severely undervaluing my one-on-one time. And the and the reason I share that with you is because what I've realized is there's a significant cost to undervaluing your personal time. So there's my intellectual property, essentially the trainings and things that I put together that allow people to have more access to the coaching that I provide, to go through the exercises, to work through things. That is one thing. That's one point of accessibility that is a lot more scalable and allows me to serve a lot more people. My one-on-one time is limited by my time. And so when you are undervaluing the time that you are giving to people, you may not be looking at the cost of that in other areas of your life. So I work with a lot of women who are very busy, who have a lot on their plate, wear a lot of hats. And I'm not saying this isn't true for fellas as well, because I do see this with men as well. I think that it is very prevalent among women to wear a lot of hats. We get a lot done. It's amazing. We get a lot done in a very short amount of time, but the cost is usually our own physical health because we aren't taking proper care of ourselves, or it's time with people we love, or it's at the expense of we're working so hard on our businesses. You're so passionate about what you do. I think a majority of every entrepreneur that I work with loves their business or loves business in general. And even if the business that they have isn't exactly what they want it to look like, they see a path to getting to what they want it to look like. And so they're willing to put so much of their heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into their businesses. And it leads to burnout because they're not seeing they're not seeing the payout of all of their efforts. So what ends up happening when someone seems like they're charging, and I want to kind of take a different perspective on this too, is like when you're looking at this from the consumer standpoint, when someone is offering their one-on-one time and expertise to you, and what they give you will catapult you in your business and completely shift how you show up, or in whatever way, whether it's your health or it's your fitness, it's the food that you eat or an experience that you're having, whatever it is. When someone is giving their one-on-one time, that is literally the most precious thing they can give you, more than anything else, because they can never get that time back. So the time that they are spending with you and pouring into you is the most precious commodity that they have. And I think it's the number one place that people that people undervalue. That yourself, the service providers, the people who are putting their time into whatever their business is, your time is the number one thing that you are undervaluing. So much effort is put into these tangible deliverables and products. Those things are so much easier to put a value on, whereas our time and what it takes us away from, when I'm giving you my time in a coaching session, what that takes me away from, I have to look at the cost of that. That might mean not being with my kids. That might mean not doing something for myself and my life and what I want in my life, because that time is going to the client. So I want to try to really land this point without rambling too much here, but what I think is so fascinating to me is how much people are willing to undercharge for their time and then put all the value in the tangible assets or the deliverables when the time that you give someone is the most precious commodity that you give them. So when you're looking at your time and what someone would invest in order to have your time, you may be happy making a certain dollar amount per hour, especially if you've started your business from a corporate setting and you're used to being paid an hourly wage. And you start to think of your time as, well, I just want to be paid that same hourly wage because that's what I used to make in my corporate job. The problem with that is that not only included in the time that you are putting into that individual person, there is someone's time. It might not be yours, but there is yours or someone else's time that is being put into the marketing that needs to happen in order to find the client, the speaking engagements that you're going to in order to raise awareness, the time that you're spending on Instagram to create reels and be the face of your company. There are also, depending on how busy you are and what your time is, there's also people in your life that you pay to support your lifestyle, like someone to clean your house or to take care of your children. So out of all of that money that someone is paying on an hourly basis, there are many more expenses than just what an individual needs to get paid. And so I think that is a really big shift that needs to happen in your mind around what you're paying yourself as far as a salary goes, and what you are charging your clients, charging individuals who work with you, or even looking at the profits that you're going to make on an investment. If you're going to do, let's say, buy a property, fix it up, and sell it retail, looking at those profit margins and what time and energy and whose time and energy was put into creating that income, that all has to make sense and be in alignment. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you are working so hard and you're working all the time, harder than you ever have in your life, and you don't know where all the money has gone. You don't understand why there isn't A, money left over, and B, why you have no time. Because part of the reason you have no time is because you aren't investing. You haven't charged enough, or you are not making enough in your business to invest in other people's time, investing in having other people do things that you are currently doing yourself, that is making it so you have so much on your plate just to keep it all together. And so this is a really important shift that has to happen. Now, when I say, okay, great, you gotta charge people more, you have to make more profit on your investments, you have to basically create more profitability for yourself in order for you to survive, be sustainable, not burn out, be able to pay people within your business and pay people within your life so that you have the space to not be doing housework on the weekends, but actually going out and living life and enjoying this entrepreneurial lifestyle, this freedom lifestyle that we're all out there to create, right? And so I say, okay, you got to charge more. And then the next obstacle that we come up against is, okay, great, but what if the marketplace won't pay that? What if I can't find the deal, or I can't find the client that is willing to pay that price? So now you have a different problem to solve. Very often we want to provide a level of service, or we have a vision for how we're going to serve people, and we don't take into account the cost of that for ourselves. And so then we short ourselves because we then price ourselves based on what the market will pay, instead of looking at, okay, what is the market willing to pay to solve this problem? And then how do I create something that is within that cost for them? So that's part of why I have people in my who seek my coaching services that cannot afford. It is not within their reach right now, currently in their business. It is too uncomfortable. Their expenses are too high. They cannot or are not willing to make that investment to work with me privately. They'd love to if they could, but they have a certain dollar amount that they can pay. That is where it makes sense sometimes to create something that solves their problem of needing coaching, but makes it more accessible. Now, there's a trade-off to that. Someone who is looking for something to pay a little bit less for coaching has to be willing to put their time and energy into it. So when you're looking at your business and maybe you're trying to solve for how do I make something a little bit more affordable for people, or how do I meet people in a certain marketplace at the price that they're willing to pay, then you look at how do I provide that solution for them, that same solution. So same solution that my high-end private clients are looking for. They're both looking for the same solution, but it's going to happen in a different way so that it supports both what I financially can sustain and financially what the client or the end user can sustain. And so they've got to now be willing to maybe sacrifice something. So sacrifice time in a group coaching environment. This is perfect for people who are like ready to, or are willing to work at their own pace. They will do the work inside of modules. They will show up to a designated time that works for my schedule. They will work alongside other people. And there's a lot of benefits that come from doing it like that, right? They get to learn from other people. They get to work at their own pace. They get to have access to go back through information over and over again. They're working through a systemized process that is replicatable. So it's really easy for them to learn the system and then continue to coach themselves even outside of the coaching container. So there's a lot of benefits that achieve that goal of transformation and getting out of their own way that my clients are looking for in that group program, but they themselves have to put the time and energy and commitment into learning that process. They've got to show up at that time that I have set. And so the investment is more affordable, but the how is different than the how I would do with my private clients, right? So I've also got people who come to me and they're like, I don't want to be in a group program. I don't want to work in modules. I want to just show up. I want your brain, Alicia. I want you to do that thing you do where you just like ask me a bunch of questions and you make me think really deeply. And then you take everything that I've said and you tie the line all the way through it. And you show me with very little effort on my part these things that I need to see about myself so that I can transform quickly, get into action, and spend minimal time outside of our coaching time, even thinking about my personal development. I just go to work. I just get the transformation and then immediately go and apply it inside of my business. And it happens, in a different way. Again, same outcome. They're looking for this very same outcome that my clients are looking for, but they are wanting to do it in a way that is less that requires less of them. Okay, so when that means that if it takes more of my time so that you just have to show up, then that time that I'm taking with that client is taking me away from other things that are important to me. My clients are important to me. Please don't take that wrong, but there are other things and other visions for my life. And so when I'm giving someone that one-on-one time, that is the most precious commodity that I have to give you. And so for that convenience, there is a premium pricing that needs to happen, because not only am I giving you my time and expertise that has taken me 20 some years to accumulate and put together and practice, and all of the hours of coaching that I put into it, but also there are other places in my business where I have to pay someone else to sustain some of the other parts of the business, some of the communication that happens, some of the tech work that goes into making an incredible experience for my clients, someone to clean, I have to be able to pay myself appropriately, so then I can then pay someone to clean my house, so that the time that I'm spending with my clients is the time I'm spending with my clients. And then when I'm done, I'm not cleaning my house instead of spending time with my family, which is where I really want to be. So this is how money is meant to flow through businesses and then trickle out into different individuals who support entrepreneurs in many different facets with all of the talents and gifts that they have in their businesses, or their things that they do, or their employment. Maybe they're employed by a company. This is how money is meant to flow. We're not meant to hoard it all and do everything ourselves and scrimp. That's a very scarcity mindset when you are operating from this place of, I have to accept less because I don't think people will pay me. That's very scarcity. And then I have to do everything myself because I can't afford to hire someone because people won't pay me, right? That's a very much scarcity type of mindset around money. And it's very much undervaluing money but undervaluing, more importantly, your time into your business. And that is why you don't have enough time, because you haven't put yourself in a position to be able to leverage other people's time in your business so that you can have both. You can have both an extraordinary business and the time the time that you want to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want. Now, there's a caveat to this. When my children were younger, I could have made more money in my business if I had got more childcare for them. That wasn't my vision. That is other people's vision. Other people have a vision to build these businesses big. They're willing to put their kids in childcare, and there is nothing wrong with that. If the business and that is your vision, then you go do that. But my vision was to be with my kids as their primary caretaker. And so because of that, I created the group program because it took a lot less of my time, and I was able to price it in a way that was both sustainable for me and sustainable and comfortable for clients who are going to be doing more of the work themselves and showing up at that scheduled time. So it's not a matter, I think I want to end with this and say, it's not a matter of you having to undervalue your time. It is matching the product or service that you're providing and the way that you're providing it, and you're matching it to what different values the client has, what different values the end user has. So the same thing, I could make the same case for clothing, right? There are some people, I just went through getting ready, at the time that you're hearing this, I'm either at a conference or getting ready to be going to the conference, and I went through to get some clothes for stage because I'm speaking on stage. And I tried going through like the Amazon influencers, and I got a bunch of clothes from Amazon, and I hated it. I hated the fit. I hated the material. I hated the way it was made. And I realized I am just not a buy it from Amazon gal. I like my clothes to be very high quality. I want lining in my pants. I want patterns to match at the seams. Like those things bother me. So because of that, I invest more in my clothes, and I choose more of a capsule wardrobe versus staying on trend all the time. I will buy a couple of key pieces, and I will stick with really classic styles so that it stays like I can stay current but classic, because I want those really high quality pieces, and I will have less pieces and I will pay more for them. Someone else is like, you know what? I love to be on trend. I don't care about the quality of clothes. I love the way I look. And I look at those influencers and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. I love their style. I love how they dress. I hate how the clothes feel. So they both solved the same problem. The clothing still solved the same problem. It was really just a matter of what me, the end user, valued more. Do you value the quality of the clothes and the feel of the clothes, or do you value the style and the fashion and the affordability of the clothes? There is always a compromise. So for you, when you're looking at what services or what products you provide, being able to match what you're providing with your value and what your time is worth, and what it may cost you to hire and leverage other people's time in order to provide those services. That's really what you're solving for, is figuring out the how that makes sense for different client values, for different end user values. And that really landed for me today. The whole picture came together and I was like, this is why people don't have time. These business owners don't have time to get everything done and aren't making the money that they want to make. And I was like, I have to make this podcast right now while this is fresh in my mind. This is the crux of it all, in where you move from this scarcity mindset to this very abundant mindset, and you start solving problems instead of leaning into your big assumptions, what you think people will pay, what you think is possible, and really operating in a box, essentially. When you have these assumptions about what's true and what's not true, and like, this is the box I locked myself in, that is where the struggle comes from. And you don't know this unless you evaluate your business in a very strategic way. So being able to not just have your expenses and your income recorded for tax purposes, but have financial sense as the CEO of your business to strategically look at your numbers and know what are your cost of goods sold, where is the pricing appropriate, what are the values of the different people in your business that you serve, and how do you bring all of those things into alignment. That is the thing to pull together. So I hope this landed for you as much as it did for me today. It was a huge aha. And I'm sending you so much love. And if Jonathan were here, he would say, be well.